the target of the third shooting.
We had just finished in,
Marguerite, a school shooter, is upstairs in the shed.
Vice Mayor Miller, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, all good. Just wanted to check.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll now call to order the May 27th, 2025 City of Abilene, Kansas City Commission meeting. Shayla, may we please have roll call?
Mayor Ryan,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Witt,
Here.
Commissioner Kohlhoff,
Present.
Commissioner Meisenberg. Here. Roll call's complete.
Okay, we can please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item is approval of today's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we do a roll call vote. Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlhoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is the consent agenda, which only consists of the meeting minutes from the May 12th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlhoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Next item under public comments and communications is 6A, public forum. If there's anyone that would like to address an item not on our current agenda, they may do so at this time. Do we have anyone that would like to? Okay. Just please state your name, address, and there's a 3-minute time limit.
I am here to submit for funding to us for next. Here. You to look at. It talks about what we've done in the last 5 years, what we're doing currently, how we gathered, we have a really good group. Started in Texas and then in Japan. And next week we had from who were interested. Oh. Visitor faces from all over. And then with but that's what there's a lot more that can be done. Downtown. Also.
Thank you. Should be able to make sure that mic's on. Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to address the commission on an item not on our current agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we will move into our business items. First up is 7A, consider approval of ordinance number 25-3459, an ordinance relating to the permitted dates and times for the sale, possession, and discharge of fireworks within the city of Abilene, Kansas, in connection with the July 4th, 2025 holiday. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor and Commissioners, this ordinance would set the sale dates for fireworks from June 30th to July 5th. And the discharge of fireworks would be July 1st and 2nd, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and July 3rd through the 5th, 8 a.m. to midnight for this 2025 season.
Do we have any questions for staff on this item? Looked through the resolution and it covered everything we had discussed, so.
Yeah, with that, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 25-3459.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we do a roll call vote. Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 7B, consider approval of resolution number 052-725-1, a resolution adopting the Kansas Homeland Security Region F Hazard Mitigation Plan. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor and Commissioners, this resolution it has to be passed every 5 years, I believe, and it is so that we receive FEMA assistance in the case of a disaster.
Do you have any questions for staff on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 052725-1.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we roll call vote. Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 7C, consider approval of resolution number 052725-2, a resolution designating the official newspapers of the city of Abilene, Kansas pursuant to Charter Ordinance number 31 and repealing all prior designations. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor and Commissioners, this resolution designates three different sources as the official newspaper: the Abilene Reflector Chronicle printed edition, the Abilene Reflector Chronicle online edition, and then also the City Hall's website. It also goes on to state that the preference is, and the default would be, to print it in the Abilene Reflector Chronicle unless the commission directs us otherwise.
From an operational standpoint, will everything that is put in the newspaper be put on the website as well?
It certainly can be. Now, are you talking about the Reflector Chronicle or the Abilene website?
On the Abilene website. So my understanding is if it goes to the newspaper, it'll go to their print edition as well.
Right.
But I'm just thinking from a records perspective, it would be better to have that, if we're going to put anything on the Abilene website, that we put everything on there.
Okay, it certainly can be.
That's
Yeah, I don't know if that, I don't think that would be too cumbersome.
All of the
I guess.
resolutions and ordinances are already uploaded to the website once they're approved anyway.
And if it's helpful, we talked about that. The publication is significant because it renders that document that is published effective in most cases, such as an ordinance. And in many cases, in order for an ordinance to be effective, if we're publishing a summary in the newspaper, we also must put the full ordinance on the city's website. And most ordinances say that it will be effective upon publication by summary in the newspaper, and also placement of the full ordinance on the city's website. So ordinances generally find themselves in both places. And even then, there's a repository where the city clerk saves all of the ordinances and resolutions for general public consumption, and they're all hyperlinked and you can find them there. So the way this is set up is, unless you designate otherwise, the default will be the paper copy of the Abilene Reflector Chronicle. In most cases, those will also be put on the website for the city of Abilene as a matter of normal business.
Do you have any further questions for staff on that item?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 052725-2.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote. Commissioner or Vice Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. We have no items under Section 8, items for discussion. Next is 9A, City Manager's Report. City Manager Marsh.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The city has submitted initial applications to be placed on the list to apply for state revolving funds. The state revolving fund is a low-interest loan program through the Department of Commerce and federal government to help local governments with water and wastewater projects. The applications include the wastewater treatment plant, $2 million to replace the control system and update blowers, digesters, influent pumps, and the disinfection system. The water treatment plant, $2 million to replace the control system and repair walls damaged due to prior leaking. And the water distribution system, $15 million to replace 2 water towers, aging water lines, and add an additional water line serving the city limits north of I-70. These initial applications are to determine if we have a qualified project to be on the short list to apply. If not, we go on the waiting list. If we do make the list, any applications for funding will be brought to the governing body for your approval. Of course, it's all dependent on continued funding from the federal government. The new police officer, Kevin Reyes, will start with the city on June 9th. He has 4 years of prior law enforcement experience and is bilingual. The police department administrative offices will be closed on Thursday from 2 to 4. This is a reminder that the city is still under a water conservation watch. Even with the snow received over the winter and recent rains, the water table is still low and the wells continue to be pushed. And we are having an employee appreciation luncheon at the fire station this Thursday, May 29th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. And our next item is an executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to move the city commission recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss a personnel matter involving a department head pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel. The open meeting will resume in this room at 4:23.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, would a roll call vote? Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries. Wendy, one of us will call you.
Thank you.
We'll now resume our regular meeting from executive session. No action was taken. We'll now move to considering a motion to recess.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city commission recess their regular meeting and resume here at 4:30 for the study session.
I'll second it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote. Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisenberg.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Witt.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries. We're in recess. We'll now call to order the May 27th, 2025 City of Abilene, Kansas City Commission study session. Our first item is 2A, is discussion regarding bids received for the purchase of a skid steer for the Public Works Department. Public Works Director Anderson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Brad Anderson, Public Works Director. So you received in your packet, this is for a skid steer to be used by Public Works. So just FYI, what this didn't really kind of tell you about, that this will be a continuation of our rotation program that we have been following for the last numerous years. So I'll walk you through that real quick. Our skid steer that we actively use day to day is the one that is down at our Public Works facility that we use out on our street projects and ditch cleaning and everything like that. Once that unit gets a lifespan in it and or several hours, we transfer that unit out to the recycling center so that it is used in day-to-day activities out at the recycling center. We push up the mulch compounds and we use it in the building to help move pallets around and a little bit of everything. So what we'll be doing is the unit that's at the recycling center, we'll be looking to get rid of it, rather for sale, the best way we come up with, either for Gov Sales or Purple Wave or whatever. The one thing I wanted to be clarified on it is that it has a wiring harness issue. We've been in contact with Bobcat and the skid steer companies. To be clear, the wiring harness is on anything that runs an attachment for the unit itself. So the unit is can functionally dry, but we can't actually run any attachments with it. So that tends to be the problem with it right now. So the new unit that we're looking at bringing in, this was a sealed bid. We started on this process over a month ago, and we put out our information to local vendors, and we asked for sealed bids to be sent in, and they were sent in last week. And as you can see, 4 bids were received, and we're recommending the low bid of Foley. We did look at some information for the local purchasing policy, and we had one that falls into that category, being Prairie Land. Their bid, however, is not within the 5% threshold. So we're still recommending the low bid of Foley Cat. You have any other questions about this process?
Yeah, I did that calculation too, because I was
Yeah.
curious. And
Yeah, it looks like to me on my calculations, they still ran about $720 and some odd change short of the 5% threshold if you would have chose to go with the low percent.
Are all these effectively the same machine? I couldn't really tell from the,
Yes. So all, everything we put out, was basically a pattern that we wanted to follow, for every unit that was bid. So,
The only difference I could see in there was the high bid option, something about a reversing fan. It wasn't included in that.
yeah, that's
so.
correct. And that wasn't necessarily something that was mandated. We did see on the bids that we had our general stuff that we wanted every one of them to be able to match. A couple of them had some extra things in there, a couple of them didn't. We kind of had to play the game and sort what was important, what wasn't out of those, and make our decision based on that. This will continue, like I said, our rotation plan. The reason, just an FYI, that we do use the rotation plan and don't, for example, that we don't purchase a skid steer directly for the recycling center is because since it's basically, since it's our money and we fund it through there, we do pull that skid steer out of there when needed for like snow removal. And when you can put a solid box snow pushing blade on the front, we don't have to worry about the functions of the wiring harness and intentions not really working, but we can utilize that when needed during snow emergencies and stuff like that. So one of the reasons we don't ever ask for like grant money or anything to help pay for funding on that, because we're going to pull it out of that recycling center and use it in the street sense, if that makes sense to you.
just really quick, I want to make sure I understood. Is it the Public Works unit or the recycling center unit that has issues right now?
the recycling center. It's the one that we're getting ready to rotate out. So the public works unit is still functioning, but it has higher hours on it. So that's the one that we're going to rotate out to the recycling center. So it will still be in our service.
And I'm trying to read through this here. I'm not seeing on the Foley that it has a bucket. Am I missing that? I think all the other ones itemize the bucket.
I'm pretty positive it's on there, but I'd have to look through it here.
I mean, we can.
I guess you're questioning whether or not their bid is good, whether or not it has a actual bucket attachment to it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that on the line items that they've got here. I think a couple of the other ones at least did mention the bucket. In fact, I think all the other ones do. We can look at that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now-
I can look at that. We can finalize that. Just because it's not listed, I would 100% only assume that a bucket's attached to the skid steer.
Yeah, we can find that out between now and the
Sure,
next meeting.
I can confirm that 100%. Okay, any other questions on it? Okay,
Thank you, Brad. All right, our next item is 2B, discussion regarding the purchase of a street sweeper for the Public Works Department, Public Works Director Anderson. I'm glad you didn't go too far.
there we go. Thank you. Back once again to discuss our global street sweeper purchase. So this was a unit, and I kind of forgot to mention, but both of these are going to pay out of the funded equipment reserve fund that we've approved last year. But number one reason we want to get the street sweeper replaced is, for those of you who don't know, our current street sweeper has been down quite a bit this year. It's currently been down going on 3 months. We've had technicians out twice. We're currently waiting on parts to arrive. So that is an issue. But our current street sweeper, as you can see, has a lot of hours on it for the year that it is. So we're once again following the plan that we've been doing at Public Works with swapping out the street sweeper after a 5-year into a 5-year rotation. We generally hope that maybe some years we'll get a 6th year out of it, out of a payment type scenario, which is only be a bonus. We're currently in that year right now, and it's currently costing us money. Just a little bit of information for you. For some major parts and replacements that we had to do during the 2024 year, we spent just over $9,000 in repair bills on it. Things just get simply wore out on a machine that has that many mechanical moving parts. This year in 2025, we're a little over $1,200 into it with repairs being made, and we're still don't have a unit that's up and functioning right now. Our goal ultimately is to get this unit up and going, and then we would like to sell and rotate it out. You may ask yourself, who's going to look at buying this? But generally what they've seen in the past is a smaller community somewhere, usually within the central parts of the United States, that may not need to sweep as much as we do, will purchase this unit. And in the past, you knock on some wood, the city of Abilene has gotten some pretty good money out of the resale factor of it. But that money generally, as with the previous unit we just discussed, that money then we like to have put back into the equipment reserve fund when we sell them. But this unit that we're looking at this year would be a brand new unit again. We went through Sourcewell to find us the best possible situation. We didn't do any local bidding. There's no local bidding or unit companies around that actually sell street sweepers. So we use Sourcewell to help us find the best unit. And in doing so, part of their process is to help us find a funding unit. And I think in your sheets that you may have seen, they came up with 2 funding units that were out there, NCL Government Capital and First Bank. We're looking at the lease to purchase option. That amount, as you can see, for a 5-year plan is $67,225 a year for the 5 years. With the financing and the amount is $336,125. If that comes down to that amount that I just told you per year. Unit price, if we had cash just to pay for it right now, is $307,517, as you could see in the cost expenditures. So, but basically, we're looking at a 5-year plan, and the plan would be to probably rotate that out in 5 years again, due to the amount of hours. Unfortunately, as you guys have probably seen, we're a little behind on our sweeping right now. So we get a unit in, no matter what we do, we're gonna be putting a lot of hours on trying to play catch up.
What is the interest rate in that?
I do not have the interest rate. I suppose it could probably be figured that the amount was basically in their quote that they gave on that. I don't know if you've seen that last page. They didn't quote it on here anywhere where the actual had a cost of the interest rate. That was just their financing cost. I suppose if we did some math and tried to do some figuring, we could get some.
But of the two, that was the lowest financing.
Yes, that
cost.
was the lowest financing, and those were the only two options that Sourcewell put together for us.
What is the roughly, what do these typically sell for historically, like to smaller communities like you were talking about?
Historically, I think if you look at, I've seen some paperwork in my office when I took over that from previous years, and I seen a cost of a $260,000. Now we're looking at that $300,000 price range. So
I mean, what do you think the current one that we'd sell? Do you have an
Oh,
idea of what you think that
well,
would recoup?
I'd like to think that maybe I'm shooting in the ballpark here that we'd get 50 out of it. Would it be nice to get more? Absolutely, but I'd hate to tell you that we'd get 80 for it and then, we get 40. And if we got 110, that'd be phenomenal. I can't answer what that would be, but generally they do tend to sell for fairly decent money to smaller communities. So they don't have the need or the want to go out and spend big money. And you're talking like a town like Solomon per se.
Do you know the balance on the equipment reserve fund?
Off the top of my head, budgeted for this calendar year, 200,000. Do we have that?
It's 186,000.
And I did just want to say publicly that First Bank is not First Bank Kansas that
Sure.
deposits payroll into my checking account.
I
every
knew
couple
that. I
weeks,
guess we
so
should make
just
publicly
making
that.
sure.
That you weren't financing this
Nope.
for us. Understood.
I just saw that and thought I better say something.
Sure.
For a street sweeper, just a question of my own, what's the balance between, I mean, obviously a street sweeper's purpose is to keep the streets clean. Is that primarily a cosmetic thing, or is there also a practical purpose to that? What's the balance between those?
There is both, actually. A big portion of it keeps our curbing clean, keeps our gutter drains flowing, so we don't have extra debris that builds up. But a lot of it can be cosmetic also. I'd say it's about a 50-50 ratio for what its true purpose is.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is 2C, discussion regarding a change of section 3-201 of the city code concerning definitions applicable to regulating alcoholic liquor. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor and Commissioners, this code change would add railway car as a form of a drinking establishment to where railway cars can be licensed in the city as drinking establishments. The state statute already includes a railway car in their definition, so this just aligns the city with the state statutes.
Do we have Any questions on that item?
Nope, seems pretty straightforward.
Next item is 2D, discussion regarding the agreement for engineering services with Olson for the industrial park project. City Manager Marsh, Public Works Director Anderson.
Commissioners, per the City of Abilene's master agreement for professional services dated December 20th, 2024 with Olson Incorporated, the attached agreement is for engineering services for the industrial park project. The agreement includes street, water, sanitary sewer, and lift station and construction observation and material testing services. Olson will also provide a regional detention study that consists of a conceptual design and cost estimate if the city elects to move forward with a detention basin. The cost for the engineering services is $338,850. This is 10.5% of the anticipated total construction costs of $3,250,000.
Just, you put it there in the fiscal note, but that is that 70-30 split between the Department of Commerce grant for 70% and then city's share of 101,655, which is 30%.
Correct.
I had a couple of questions for Mark, just on the overall region for both seeing the detention basin and then also lift station. What's the coverage area of servicing both of those things?
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Start off with the sanitary sewer. Right now, the way the sewer runs on the west side, which is the main for that, which is for Russell Stovers and runs down. When you want to extend that main further to the east and up this industrial park road, it runs out of the ground at the end of the street, which requires a lift station to be put in. So as part of this plan is to study what is a developable area that this lift station can handle for future development. I'm looking at this as being north of I-70. So whatever is built here, we want to be able to accomplish in a very reasonable way to get that, to make your developable area as much as it can be with the initial infrastructure of this project when it's being paid for initially by essentially grant dollars. So when you look at the topography, you can see that what does it take to get across I-70? That's going to be the biggest factor. And then it's going to be, you look at how much the land rises. You're 20 plus years out. And that's the developer mind in front of me. I've worked with so many in economic development. That's where I want to look at is where can this be expanded to? That's for the sanitary sewer. With the city owning these lots, needs to be the thought process of is how is stormwater detention going to be handled? You can handle individually with each person that buys up in that area, or you can look at a regional detention, and that would be able to serve essentially the drainage basin to the west and the north. So it will handle an area that is more than what this can handle, or I guess more than what this can develop, but take that as a regional, similar to what was done up on up here.
Faith Avenue.
Faith Avenue. Yeah, thanks. Same as that is more of a regional detention. So that is just going to be a study of what can it serve? How big does it need to be? That's as far as we're taking it, because then at that point, that becomes a whole nother discussion. That's been we've been wanting to do that for years, because knowing of what could be developed up to figure that out and then actually budget for it for the future. I probably give you way more than you wanted.
Oh, that's perfect.
But I
Thank
wanted
you.
to explain the full big picture. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
we have any further questions for staff on this item?
So this is through the proposed bond, which I think is our next agenda item here. So would this start in 2026?
No, we'll start as soon as we can.
Yeah, it looked like the timeline in the packet said starting in April 25 with bids November 25. So we're already a month, more than a month or so behind.
Correct. The dates in that agreement are a little old.
Right.
So I would say that we'll probably be looking at putting this thing out to bid somewhere at the end of the year, first of 26.
Right.
Good question. I was wondering as well how that would affect the timeline that was in there, so.
What is the plan for paying for engineering services if we're not collecting on the bonds?
Well, hopefully we'll start collecting that. We'll be able to do that bond sale as we'll talk about in the next or the next item. I believe it's August. I remember from the documents.
Mhm. Yeah,
So we
August
shouldn't,
7th is
we
the-
utilize those funds.
Yeah, August 7th to 25 was the scheduled closing of temp note issue.
You said you were going to do 3 different proposals for sanitary sewer. Am I remembering that correctly? Maybe I'm not wondering if I'm confusing storm sewer and sanitary sewer here.
Well, I think we're doing different options for the storm, for the detention basin.
Okay.
There will be different, there also would be different options for the sanitary sewer as well. One is going to be the way I envision it is we're going to have one is what can maximize the the lift station size and make it work. But yet you also have to do a balance because where's groundwater? Because if we don't want to be more than 20 feet, 25 foot deep, because then it becomes cost prohibitive to build it. Then it would be looking at where can we build the second lift station in order to make that happen. That's the things that'll be in the study. We'll have probably 2 or 3 different options there on the sanitary sewer as well. And we'll have to come back to you or we'll come back. I mean, to me, that's an internal discussion. If it costs too much to do one, we know what we're going to do with the other one.
Can you kind of explain that to us?
Excuse me?
You said if it costs too much to do one, you know.
Well, I mean, we understand that what's feasible and what's not for construction. If our drill rig and we go out and we do a geotech report and we're seeing groundwater at 20 feet and we're seeing that we need to be 25 in order to get all maximized to the ground, we're not going to do that option. We're not going to do dewatering the groundwater table to get to where they can build it. We're actually going to lift it up and then we'll do a second lift station up further to the north because it'd be more cost effective for the city to maintain.
I would just say, I think my preference would be to look at just doing something that covers this area south of I-70. Just based off of the development. Yeah, you'll see what you see, but
Mine too, but what would it take? What would it take to get across? Because actually we have the ground laying in our favor. So.
Any further questions for Mark? Seeing none. So we discussed items E and F kind of run together. If everyone would be okay, kind of combining those, so we're not just rehashing the exact same things on certain portions of them.
Yeah,
So,
I'm good
okay.
with it.
So I'll just read both. Item 2E, discussion regarding resolution authorizing and providing for improvements included in the multi-year capital improvement plan Industrial Park with Dominic Eck. And then item 2F, discussion regarding a resolution authorizing and providing for improvements included in the multi-year capital improvement plan and authorizing the sale resolution for the issuance of general obligation bonds for the funding of the industrial park infrastructure, C-CLIP 2026 project, and the recreation improvements. Dominic Eck with Gilmore and Bell. And I don't know if Clayton with Piper Sandler's on as well. The Dominic Show.
Good afternoon. Dominic with Gilmore and Bell. Clayton was unable to make it. He asked me to send his regards and let you know that if there are any financial questions in particular for him, he'd be happy to prepare a response and get that to the city, ASAP. So if there are any questions on that front, let me know and I can pass along to him, or Mr. Marsh can pass along to him as well. So appreciate you combining the two items. You're correct. They are related. The first resolution provides authority for the city to do a financing for the three projects that are listed. So the KDOT C-CLIP project, the industrial park project, and the recreation improvements. Those are included in the city's capital improvement plan. And approval of the resolution then provides the authority to do bond financing for all or a portion of each of those projects. Bonding authority also includes with it temporary note authority. And the second resolution directs the preparation of documents to prepare for a sale of the city's temporary notes in order to finance those three projects. As was mentioned earlier, the note schedule that Clayton prepared currently contemplates an August 7th closing, and then work backwards from there to a sale date of July 14th. And at that time, bids for those notes would be opened and brought to the commission for approval. So in the interim, there would be the offering document preparation, rating call, and other attendant activity. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Dominic on these items? Can you easily explain the difference between the 9.15 and the 10.96 listed in the documents?
The difference between those would be the interim interest and cost of issuance related to the projects. So the note would fund the interest components that would be due prior to note maturity. And that would be included as part of the bond issuance and utilized to make those interim interest payments along with cost of issuance. So that the authorized project amount is kind of the hard project cost, if you will, or project specific costs, and then the financing costs would be added on top of it.
And wanting to clarify and highlight, the numbers that are in our packet are a worst case scenario, because throughout the term of the temporary note, we'll be receiving reimbursed grant dollars and then also revenue from that sales tax for the ball fields. So is my understanding right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I think these numbers assume, just full on payment from, note proceeds itself and the investment of those note proceeds, if any. And then upon note maturity, final bonding amount would be determined based on other sources of funds that would have come in and be on hand and available to knock down the principal amount that would need to actually be permanently bond financed.
Thank you.
Have you calculated what we anticipate will be a more real world scenario based off of that reimbursement from the state?
That's a question that I'd have to defer to Clayton on, and so I can ask him to take a look at that and see what he has.
And just roughly, you can put 2.5 commerce, and then 800,000 from KDOT. That's 3.3, and then the 4 would be covered by the recreation sales tax. Just spitballing numbers. Remember. Do we have any further questions on this item? Dominic, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you could ask Clayton to provide that to the commission, or provide it to Ron to send out, or however that works best for you.
Sounds good. I'll pass it along.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next item is 2G, discussion regarding the RHID Heartland Housing Contract. Commissioner Kohlhoff and Ross Vogel with Heartland Housing.
Good afternoon, Ross Vogel, Heartland Housing Partners. Good to see everyone. I'm here at your request.
I guess I kind of started this process as a result of the city not timely filing some paperwork to be able to get the revenue from the RHID. And then that kind of led to a further discussion, which spilled over into your responsibilities under the contract. I think Mr. Martin said the contract was written in a way that pretty well absolves you of any responsibility for input or oversight throughout that process. So I commend you and your attorneys on that.
Thank you. I'll give you their name if you want.
Appreciate that. I think there was some, I guess, personally, someone had mentioned to me that you might have involvement in the 12-plex that's been built out there. And no one else had any knowledge or inkling of that. So we figured we might as well just ask you. Can you clarify for us on that?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Let's talk about the whole project.
Okay.
It's been an incredible success, and I commend all of you. I think some of you were on the commission when we started the process, and great results. There are 18 homes built, 12 apartments built, about $7.5 million in investment in your community. We can't guarantee the next projects are happening, but we have a pipeline that looks great of 5 or 6 more single-family homes, 16 duplex units, 8 structures, 2 of which are already going, and a couple other duplex projects that are going, which would be $6 or $7 million in investment again. In 3 years' time, that's, for a community your size, that's incredible. And I think we should applaud Mr. Marsh and his staff, because they've done a great job. Community's done a great job. Obviously, all communities such as Abilene have huge housing needs, and it goes to show, but we've also been a very good, timing was very good for us. The state legislature, through a lot of people's hard work, mine included, started several incentives along that time. For those units that have been completed or at least in development, our companies helped get $1.4 million in incentives from the state. That's what we do. That's what we do a ton of. So if you want to define involvement, I did help that group get around $1 million in incentives to make that project work. See a number, maybe 800,000 to make that project work, along with several other, but that was the extent of my involvement in that project. So that is what we do. That's what we're extremely successful at. And I would say working with your builders to get those incentives have been a key to getting that project specifically, but several of the others. If you all aren't aware, and you shouldn't be, making apartments work or rental units work in whether it's Abilene or almost anywhere else in the state besides the largest cities, almost impossible. The economics just don't work. The rents just don't meet that level. So we worked with that group to help them get those incentives.
And
Go ahead.
just so I'm perfectly clear, you have no ownership in that group or no other ownership with those owners
Zero.
and other entities. Thank you.
Anything else?
Any further questions for Ross?
Yeah.
Again, I'll just reiterate it here, and I don't think I'm going to tell you anything you haven't heard from me before. I have more than a little bit of heartburn with the arrangement. I don't think that you were obviously part of it, so maybe it was your intention, but I don't think the legislature intended for 15% of the tax revenue on an RHID to go to a consultant. I would also say that as a representative of our taxpayers, when we sell a lot for $7,500, a process that I frankly don't believe we need that much help with, that we're paying 67% of that outside the community. And again, I commend you and your attorneys on your paperwork. I do think you bring value. I don't want you to think that I don't think that that's the case, but I feel like the value has been shifted a little bit too far in your favor and away from our taxpayers. So
So
I-
15 years of evidence that said it wasn't moving forward, but I certainly understand what you're saying.
appreciate you being here.
You bet.
Thank you. All right, our next item is 2H, discussion regarding the hiring of a new city manager, Commissioner Koloff.
Yes, I think everyone is aware by now that Mr. Marsh submitted his resignation to be effective June 27th. I was going to suggest that we reach out to the League of Kansas Municipalities to engage in the process of potentially hiring an interim and a full-time replacement.
Yeah, and John Deerdorf with us, Deerdorf, okay. Always get that mixed up. He reached out to today via email as well to see if we'd like any assistance with that. And just, I know Beth Tatarko with Austin Peters Group also reached out maybe the Friday of last week, just offering assistance if we need it. So I think we'll have options on that. I think the league would probably be a better choice for the interim for sure. Just because they've got that connection directly in the state, and that's where you're more likely to get someone on an interim basis, but.
Yeah, if we can have somebody from the league for the next study session or discussion to.
I reached out to John, making it very clear that I was reaching out to him as an individual and not as a representative of the city commission. He said he's not available at our next meeting, but he would be available on the 23rd. And so I don't know if it would make sense for, I'd be happy to volunteer. I don't know if Mr. Ryan would want to as well, but to form a small committee to reach out and maybe start that process just with the timeline.
Or we could reach out to him when his availability is and have a special meeting.
I'd be fine with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know the inner workings of the league. If he's not available, I wonder if someone could, just to kind of walk us through the process, because I mean, they've all been involved in it. So it'd be nice to have that just presented, but
I think it's preferable anyway, probably not to wait even till the next regular meeting. That'd be my preference anyway.
yeah. Can reach out and at least have him start the process. Do you want me to send him an email back? Or
Yeah.
not just that, yeah.
I think that's great. I don't know that we, yeah, I'm happy. I don't know what that process looks like in your mind or in their minds, but I think we need to get it started. So
Yeah.
whatever we need to do to effectuate that.
Okay.
Look over to Attorney Martin. Been around and early in my time in the commission, we dealt with interims and things like that. I guess any considerations you want to give to the rest of the commission about what you remember from that process, how it looks like. So.
Sure. In my tenure as city attorney, I've seen it done a couple different ways here in Abilene, ranging from the appointment of an internal employee to serve as the interim. And against the backdrop of that hiring, I believe it was Ms. Tatarko with the Austin Peters Group, if I'm not mistaken, that served as the city's consultant to solicit, interview, and select candidates. So ranging from that model to finding, I think, just almost like a sole source interim from outside. I believe Dennis Kissinger served that role maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He was previous city manager in Salina, Kansas. So there's precedent for if the commission can agree on who can serve on that interim role, a direct appointment as the interim, whether that's an internal candidate or an external candidate. And then I believe we've used the Austin Peters Group to take the lead role in helping the city craft a solicitation for candidates and the brochure that goes out and placement of that throughout the country to get the best candidates and assisting with interviews. So I've seen a range of things, and I think your proposal of reaching out to the league probably is a great starting point because I think they may have an arm that helps cities find executives such as a city manager. And if you don't go that route, you can at least get some resources from them. They might have a name or two of someone who travels around the state and serves as an interim or another recommendation for a consulting firm to help you. So I think that's a good place to start, is reaching out to the league.
I had reached out to a gentleman that I know who's on the City of Marion Commission or Council, and that was who they used both for their interim and for their full-time person. And I believe they've assisted in some other cities nearby as well. I'll confirm that before
Yeah,
I
likely.
name cities.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I guess my thought process was, maybe utilizing the league for the interim position. I think the cost, we would likely put it out for an RFP for I think last time, I can't remember, I think we had 2 or 3 different options. Because the cost of a search is not cheap, either direction you go, so.
Yes, I think that model would work as well, to put it out for requests for qualifications and get a short list of candidates to serve as the interim. That would be a model you could follow. But again, I think the league would probably have some recent examples of what has worked for other cities of comparable size and type.
Yeah, and that RFQ piece, I was talking once we get to hiring a full-time.
I see.
Yeah, versus just the interim. I think the league would probably have a lot of good resources on people that would be able to step in on an interim basis in a short time frame. So,
As far as actually making that happen, what kind of process do we want to follow? Do we want to have a special session, or what would be the best path forward?
just discussion like regarding an interim, is that?
I guess maybe let's talk about when you want to have an interim in place.
By the
And
end of
then-
June.
End of June is kind of the drop dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you see any value in some crossover with Mr. Marsh?
Mhm. Just depending on, I mean, we're a month out, that's the issue. That's why I think the league might be valuable in having a list of people that do this on a contract basis that we could bring in just temporarily, because we do have a lot of moving projects right now. Yeah. Yeah, I can call John tomorrow and see when we could get that scheduled.
Yeah, and for the month of
then-
June, I'm pretty flexible until the 25th.
Okay.
So if we need to call special meetings, I can be available pretty much anytime.
For a special meeting, what is the procedure for that?
I need to look back because I looked at that pretty closely. We have some older ordinances that have a unique procedure, but I think at least one, possibly 2 commissioners calling a special meeting. Now, if you all know here that you want to call one and it's just the date and time that needs to be determined, I think you can go ahead and just reach a consensus on that, and that would be helpful. But I would need to look at the formalities. My recollection is we have older ordinances that have some unique rules. But we've invoked those in the past pretty easily to call special meetings. My recollection is it takes 2 commissioners to call that. And then that meeting would be limited to the specific scope of the meeting that was called for.
So you said it would be helpful to just reach a general consensus here that we do want to hold a special meeting, and then we can work out details as we know time constraints.
I think that would be helpful. I cannot guarantee that that will make the process of calling the meeting easier, but I think it would help Mr. Marsh and Ms. Moore plan for that meeting, and then I can look at the formalities that have to happen to call it. But if there's a consensus to go ahead and do that, that would be helpful to know.
Yeah, so it sounds like two separate but related things. One, for the commission having a discussion based on what materials and process LKM can guide us with. And then we have a person of interest that may be able to serve in the interim role. And so a discussion there to gauge interest. Do I have that right? That's John Deerdorf?
Mhm.
That's how you say it? Okay.
What he explained to me is he used to be kind of an independent business, essentially hiring executives, and has since actually served as the interim executive director for League of Kansas Municipalities, and has kind of come under their wing, basically to be their recruiting arm.
So are we generally in consensus that we will go ahead and I'll reach out tomorrow to figure out the time constraints of John and John Deerdorf. And then we'll work on making sure schedules can mesh for that.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was looking back through emails where I'd opined on that, and we do have an ordinance that mirrors a statute that has since been repealed, but it requires a majority of the city commission to call a special meeting. So that would be three members of the commission to call it. And we would normally reach out and poll commissioners to seek that call.
I guess while we're discussing this, would it make sense to look at that ordinance on a future study session just to modernize that if that's appropriate?
Certainly, yes.
That's kind of funny. You look at coma and then it's like, oh, three people have to do it. But I guess you could do it via email and just have everyone respond back, something like that.
There is an attorney general opinion that speaks to that, and it basically says that the act of coordinating a public meeting does not in and of itself violate coma if you're trying to assemble a public meeting, which from a policy perspective makes sense, but it does create some issues. So we'll look at other options and be prepared to present those to you.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Do you want to give John a deadline? I would guess my preference would be that we meet with him before the next regular meeting.
Yeah, I think
If
it'd be,
possible.
we could squeeze them in next week.
Yeah, that'd be
That
ideal.
would be, that's what I had in my head. I think this week is likely too short of notice, but give it a shot. Doesn't hurt to ask. So. Okay. Aaron, with coordination of the times after I reach out to him, is that something I just want to make sure we're, I don't want to send emails out and get into trouble.
Yes, if you want to handle the coordination of other commissioners' schedules, we could find a way to make that work. If you wish to rely on a member of city staff to do that, that might be easier and better ensure compliance with COMA. But I think the key is if you're communicating with other commissioners on that specific subject, just do it with that particular commissioner, email them, don't get into a chain of multiple commissioners interacting with one another. But I think polling other commissioners as to their availability at a specific date and time is acceptable under COMA.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have a general feeling of your fellow commissioners' schedules and availability?
Not at all.
Okay.
I barely know my own most weeks.
Maybe you could poll us here before we leave, and that might help in the timing process.
Okay. Well, actually, I guess, can I just ask you all to email me with times you are not available. Would that work?
Just evenings. Is that what you're wanting?
I would guess that would work
Okay.
best for work schedules, but. Yeah, if you guys would be able to do that, that way when I do call John, I may just wait until later tomorrow. That way I have kind of a framework to start working with him. So it might get kind of messy trying to coordinate everyone's. So that works. And that, just to be clear, that is okay if they send me their non-availability next week.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. But anyway, don't have anything further on that item. I would consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further commission discussion? Seeing none, we would roll call vote. Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Muted.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlhoff,
Aye.
myself, yes, motion carries. We are adjourned.